Hello everyone. My name is Fear Dragon, and welcome to another Modest Musings. So today's topic is going to be about people going full time and what that means versus what people expect it means. Now, my big disclaimer at the beginning of all this is that I am not full time in esports. I have kind of been full time for probably a total of 3 months across my career, just because I was between jobs and taking time off between them, since you don't really get a month off or like 2 months off very often unless you're like between jobs. So those are the only real times that I've actually been quote unquote full time. But this is based a little bit on that experience, as well as just discussing things with other people, as well as also players and the kind of player's perspective on being full time versus content creator. So to get started, one thing that a lot of people really expect when someone says, "Oh, I'm going full time in esports," is that, and even people sometimes who go full time in esports sort of go in with this expectation. It's that when you go full time into esports, or full time honestly into anything, let's say I was a player, right? If I'm a player and I was playing 3 hours a day and improving, let's just say at an arbitrary rate of X. If I go full time into esports and I tell myself, well, now the reason why I'm going to go full time is because now I can practice 3 times as much. I can practice 9 hours a day. And let's just say somehow I'm some like unbelievably dedicated player who can actually play 9 hours of StarCraft a day every day and not get totally burnt out. Um, then cool. Technically, that's 3x amount of practice. So I should improve at 3x the rate that I was before. But I think the big misconception that a lot of people have there is that it doesn't necessarily scale linearly. There's diminishing returns on time investment. And this is where it gets really tricky in deciding whether or not you're going to go full time. Just because a player practices 3 times as much doesn't mean they're going to be improving 3 times as fast. There's a lot of weird and different factors about how much you'll actually be improving in the second hour or third hour of practice versus the eighth or ninth hour in practice. There's a huge diminishing return. Maybe you'll get consistently better practice and maybe you'll improve twice as fast for the first 5 hours. Maybe you didn't actually need to go full time into esports. You just need to go a little bit more into esports and practice like 5 hours a day. Maybe you just need to cut back on other things to make it or get the same level of benefit. So it's kind of weird things that go in like that. And there are things that do scale more linearly. For example, in content creation, if I say I need to edit videos and I do not have time to edit videos, it maybe, let's say, it takes me same formula. I want to edit right now. I can only edit one video in 3 hours, right? For easy math. And if I was full time, I could edit 3 videos in 9 hours. That is something that scales linearly. It's not dependent on this other kind of weird factors. So there are some situations where you can make that kind of stuff work and justify it, but there's also other weird things that end up coming up into play as well, such as if I'm trying to release too many videos at a time. Yeah, there is actually such a thing as releasing too many videos at a time. Then people just don't watch them. If I'm a YouTube content creator or something and I'm releasing 10 videos a day, I'm actually like almost eating my own, or not, it's not eating your own audience. It's what's it called? You're cannibalizing your own audience, because your audience is going to be split up across all of the different videos. So your views will be split up because not everyone's going to watch all 10 videos. And because the views are lower, it gets lower ratings on search rankings, all that stuff. If people post it to Reddit or Team Liquid, they might just post one, because if they post all 10, then people are going to watch some of them. It gets really, really weird. So you end up kind of cannibalizing your own efforts. So there is a diminishing return, even on like putting out videos. But there are certain situations where, if, for example, you were only releasing one video a week, releasing 2 videos a week, or maybe 3 videos a week because you went full time, that may be a valid justification. Of course, you have to also have the return on investment there. uh, Counteract the money that you were potentially losing if you were working, or the job opportunities or education opportunities you would have if you were a student. And that's a whole other factor, is that sometimes I think it's very easy when you go full time to think, well, I have so much more time now. What do I do with this? And if you do have those kind of linearly scaling methods of spending your time, it's a little bit easier to figure that stuff out. But I think it's very easy when you're suddenly in control of your own life. If you went from this, I'm an employee at a company, and I show up, and here are my hours, or I'm a student, here's my work, and this is what I have to do, here's my deadline, etc. When you suddenly go to the self-employed life, and this is not even in esports, this is just uh, in general, you kind of have to find your own motivation a lot of the time. And it's very different when you are the only thing that you're doing that day, the only thing that you're expected to do is to play those games and improve, or to create certain content, or to do like a broadcast every day, rain or shine, no matter how you're feeling. And this is a really interesting difference that I experienced when I was quote unquote full time between jobs. Is that I would go from, okay, cool, like I'm gonna cast every opportunity I get, but I'm working, so it's really difficult for me to actually do it every single day. And then when I was on Base Trade TV, I was broadcasting. Honestly, there were 5 days a week, or sometimes six days a week, sometimes. Really, really full schedules, and it was a bit different because I was going from a situation where I would work 8 to 12 hours a day at a normal desk job, versus a lot of the broadcasts that I do. Granted, some of them were like 12-hour stints or something crazy like that, but many of the broadcasts would be like 4 to 5 hours instead, and it'd be like, okay, cool, now I just have a bunch more time. And I realized that a lot of the time, when I had that free time, I would just idle, and I would sit around kind of having fun and enjoying myself, which is perfectly fine to do in moderate amounts. But it's very easy to just get sucked in and think, well, I could just play an MMO like Final Fantasy 14 or something for like 6 hours today. But I'm losing so much productivity time. There's a degree of, you want to make sure that you're still being happy whatever you're doing. If you're not happy in life, your overall productivity is going to be going down anyways. So kind of self-defeating to overwork yourself too much. But there is a happy balance, and I think finding that and regulating that yourself is very difficult sometimes. And that's definitely another kind of pit trap that pitfall, pitfall. There we go. Okay, I didn't just wake up 25 minutes ago. It's definitely another pitfall that a lot of people fall into. So it's sort of interesting with when I hear people about them saying they're going to go full time. I always also wonder, not just in terms of like, oh, time investment into content creator or something, but even, for example, for content creators or broadcasters, the whole return on investment, actually being able to make enough money to survive, there is also that kind of diminishing return. So there's a lot of these diminishing return factors when you say you're going to go full time. That makes me really skeptical of people who haven't already gotten to that point where I'm almost just like, well, were you not full time already? If you're not already at that point, if you don't have that kind of level or that proof of concept, or at least a very strong reasoning of why just going full time, self-employed, by the way, full time self-employed, very different from if you have your employee at a company and they're paying you, then, whatever, man. That's their problem to figure out diminishing returns and all that stuff. But if you're self-employed and doing this, you really need to have all that kind of stuff figured out. It's part of the reason why I think, amongst other reasons, I don't expect to ever actually go full-time in esports unless I start, I mean, not to make it sound like I'm in it for the money or anything, but to just support my own lifestyle. Like, I'd have to have probably a job from a very large esports company as like a commentator or something, if I ever wanted to go full time. So I don't actually see it on the horizon for me, even the next 5 to or so years, unless something really big happens. StarCraft 3 comes out and I just get hired for every premiere event or something like that. But that's not for another 15 years probably. So anyways, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's see. I'm trying to think about anything that's going to be happening this week for me. Probably should be thinking about this stuff beforehand. Oh, NA and EU Ladder Heroes monthly finals happening this Sunday on June 11th. So be sure to check that out. It's going to be a pretty awesome lineup. I still need to figure out who's going to be casting it with me, but TBD. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.